Welcome to the Cognaize webinar on the deployment of AI solutions in practice. The next 45 to 50 minutes are really about demystifying AI and how large financial service companies utilize AI to solve real-world problems. My name is Vincent and I'm your host and moderator today. When I'm not moderating webinars, I lead marketing and communications at Cognaize, as well as the German entity, together with our founder and CEO, Abrahamyan. A bit of housekeeping. We are excited to have over 100 registrations from the US and Europe, and all participants are muted. However, we welcome questions which you will be able to ask via chat or Q&A functions. A warm welcome to our guests, Selcuk Kuram and Abrahamyan. Selcuk is head of digital transformation at BVV Pension Management, one of Germany's largest pension funds. Prior to that, he has worked as an engagement manager at McKinsey & Company and as a product manager at AGI, Allianz Global Investors, among other positions. Our second guest is Abrahamyan, former Chief Digital Transformation Officer and board member of Austria's largest bank, Erste Group. Ara holds various board and advisory positions, and he is an adjunct professor at Matena International School of Leadership and Professional Development in Armenia. Ara, why don't you start telling us about your experiences with AI implementations in large financial service firms?
Thank you, Vincent, and a warm welcome from my side as well. This is one of the days where no matter what you do and no matter how exciting your topic is, you sound like a warm-up band on a Taylor Swift concert. And I'll try to be a little bit more entertaining and kind of practical, down to the earth in everything I tell. First, one of my favorite slides that I always use when I'm starting a presentation is a slide talking about the inevitability of the change. I mean, I'm sure some of you are still remember companies like Kodak, like Nokia, mobile phones like BlackBerry, who effectively vanished from the horizon because of the lack of ability of recognizing strong movement or shifts, if you will, in the industry, in the technology, and failed to change and became obsolete, irrelevant. I think I'm happy to say that, Vincent, if we move to the next page, that we find ourselves in a similar time, right? AI is considered by many as fourth or fifth, depending on how you calculate, industrial revolution. And everyone, like every CEO or CIO or whatever, CXO of a large company, is challenged in their quarterly results call to explain and answer the question, are you doing AI or not doing AI? So if we move to the next slide, Vincent, the bridge that often leadership of a company has to bridge is a balance between the fiduciary responsibility, and especially in the financial services, and the due care that we do fiduciary responsibility on one side and the due care on the other side, right? We need to deliver customer growth, better customer experiences, efficiency, and they have to prove as prudent managers that they're using the best tool for most informed decisions. On the other side, if you think about, again, a financial services industry, insurance company, or a bank, for that purpose, things like expandability, ethics and bias, and a very, very, very strict regulatory compliance is a problem. So we find ourselves in this kind of predicament, if you will. So if we go to the next slide, Vincent, the model, the way kind of I suggest to look at the change that we have to achieve is something that that we call an AI or a digital transformation, which consists of two blocks, right? For the simplicity, it's the bits about what you do, and the bits and pieces about how you do it, right? So what you do is the theory of hard facts, implementing different solutions, implementing models, upgrading your pieces of technology, and so on and so forth. And the how bit is talking about the way of working, right? Effectively, how you are going to implement this. So in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to talk about AI as the hardcore sort of delivery topic, and innovation and partnership as the how component of the delivery of AI and the digital transformation. So that's why you have them marked over here with this yellow boxes. So next slide. What is AI and what can it do? Look, I know I'm having an informed audience here, and I'm actually walking on a very, very thin ice, and I'm taking a risk of being absolutely wrong about most of everything, as I said, because things are changing at incredible pace and speed, right? Something of the magnitude of industrial revolution in 10 or 15 minutes, it's almost impossible. And if you are like me, subscribers of any kind of, I don't know, email distribution list and updates on AI, I mean, you are probably overwhelmed with what happens and how quickly it happens around us, especially in the context of AI. The next slide tries to put kind of the most relevant and actual and up-to-date topics in AI into context, right? What do we talk about, right? We're talking about the bottom right corner of something which has started many years ago as the kind of functional space or the science or the engineering discipline of artificial intelligence. We're talking about deep learning and its implementation in the form of large language models initially, with the introduction of the, let's say, ChatGPT and in its first versions, and now with its competition like Llama, Anthropic, and so on and so forth. But if you see in these tiny blue boxes, there are things that are popping up and becoming increasingly important. Things like small language model, more precise language models, which use techniques like quantizations and a technology called RAG, right? So retrieval augmented generation, which helps these models to fight with things like hallucinations and help addressing the issues of traceability. So next slide, how did we get there, right? We started with some very, very basic prediction machines, right? We started in effectively from a piece of technology that is generating on a probabilistic nature the next possible token, and we were all making funny jokes and saying how reliable and useful it will be. But if you go to the next slide, you will see that by a kind of a miracle, right, something that has been a statistical text or token generation machine turned into something that we call intelligent, right? There is one of the recent statistics and graphs shows that like the previous set of models of the usual suspects like Gemini and Claude and ChatGPT are finding themselves somewhere around 90, the score of 90 from their IQ, right? But the things like O1, where you already start to increase the context window and start to implement the line of thought type of features, you actually, for some type of tasks, go beyond the average IQ for a human, right? Of course, it's obviously not an AGI and in any form, and by all means, it's of course not having any kind of abilities of EQ, right, of emotional intelligence. But it becomes more and more obvious that this piece of technology, with this strength and power, can and should be used to solve real life problems. So, what kind of problems? Let's go to the next slide. Right? The financial services industry is known for its kind of dual ability because of the tech savviness to jump on the most major technological trends. But on the other side, having the constant pressure of being very kind of heavily regulated industry to address this in a very kind of careful manner. So in this bridge, right, or in this space, if you look at what AI is typically used in financial services industries, and this is something that most of the literature, most of the research of consulting companies, and my discussions with some of my clients show us that most of the companies use AI in things like customer experience, right? Using it for personalization, or if you will, hyper personalization, in making sure that they are offering their customers, both corporate and retail, precisely defined pieces of our products, right? Are used for cost reduction and process efficiencies. Document management is the area where Cognaize, the company that I am representing here, is working as well, right? We are using big learning and AI to extract data from unstructured documents. I mean, it will be irresponsible not to talk about the usage of copilots in information technology. It was boosting the developer's capacity by some estimates, right, somewhere around 20%, right, which is a huge saving. Risk management and compliance, the usual candidate for loan processes automation. Again, here you have the data extraction and the scoring and fraud detection, ideal candidates for the use of AI technology. And textual data analysis and generations, right? Analysts love tools like that, right? But in order to achieve that, all of that, you have to have some kind of basic capabilities and abilities in your organization, really, right? You need to have your data, right, readily available. You need to have your senior management bought into the topic, right, and supporting. You need to make sure that your staff is well educated and then understanding the use and the ability of current technology, modern technology, into places where they are allowed and they should and supported to be used. The culture is not an important aspect. The AI first culture is also not to be neglected, right? So here is what more or less in very kind of quick way you can do with AI in a financial services organization. Now let's go to the next slide and talk about how we do that. If you remember my kind of simple mental model of what you do, so spoke about AI and I hopefully persuaded that you should be doing it, and there are certainly useful places where it can help. We'll look at the second part of it, which is how you do it, right? And here I'm suggesting you a partnership as a solution. Now, Vincent, this is the right moment where we can start the mini poll that we're having for this webinar participants, right? So if you could trigger the question distribution to the participants of the webinar while I continue with my presentation, I'd be thankful.
All right. I am starting the poll now. Do you see the poll?
I do. I hope participants see it as well.
I see first answers coming in. So let's give it a bit more time.
Should we continue with the presentation because of the time and then come back to the results of the poll you want? Or should we wait for the results?
I think it's better to wait because from the laptop I can jump. I could,
but then let's wait.
Happening. I think that's now is really the last results coming in, so I can close it in the next seconds. So now I'm gonna close it. There's no movement anymore. So I'm sharing the results now. Ara, do you want to comment on the results?
It's actually very good. So the champions are limited resources and the lack of knowledge. So the last one we're addressing with this and the events like that, and I think it's understandable and acceptable. But I will talk at the end of the presentation about the regulatory hurdles because I have a strong opinion with that. But the topic of limited resources is exactly what I want to address in the second block of the presentation. So if you look at the partnership, so if we can switch, Vincent, to the presentation,
yeah.
That
Give
is.
Me a sec. So. Here we go.
Yeah, thank you. So next slide. Look at this picture, folks. You see here is what you see here is on the right side is activities of digital giants, right? And the ecosystem of the likes of Google, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, and so on and so forth, right? We consider them front runners in everything which is related to high-end technology. But even they are actively engaging and boosting their capabilities with actively scouting and looking and finding companies that do something better than they do, right? And engage into partnerships. Sometimes they actually go beyond a client and the service provider type of partnership. Sometimes they invest or buy. Different forms of partnership are possible. So my message to you and my encouragement to you is, I think you as representatives of financial services industry, wherever you come from, insurance company or a bank, should gradually mutate and turn into an ecosystem player and actively scout and find your gems, right? The reasons for building partnership are very different, right? As you showed in your poll results, right? Sometimes you cannot get hold of talent, right? You don't have the knowledge and skills in the company. Sometimes you need the speed, and usually integrating the third-party solution via decent APIs is faster than building it from scratch, right? And sometimes your organization, if you're coming from a large organization, is simply not geared to that kind of high speed and the modus operandi, which normally the smaller companies can do. So all these arguments lead to a partnership as being a viable model for solving the AI problems. Vincent, if you can go to the next slide. Right. I would probably spend the 30 seconds explaining how and what I think is a partnership and how it should be done, right? I think the usual procurement process, if you put a startup into a usual procurement process, it will probably die and will run out of money until it comes at the end of the process. So usual supplier management process doesn't work, right? You need to have a way of handling smaller new companies. Partnership is not outsourcing, right? But it is alignment on your goals, and it requires trust, right? Sometimes it's it needs a kind of innovative way of engaging into a partnership where you actually work on common goals, and the clarity around the purpose of partnership. So what is it that you are getting out of that partnership, and what is it that your partner, and this kind of way, a supplier or an AI gem that you found is doing for you. Okay, so if we go to the next slide, second to last, right? So AI to do, clearly my answer, and I obviously assume that your participation in this call assumes that you are also keen and interested in doing AI. To do is the answer. And if we go to the last page, Vincent, there are while it's a huge opportunity, there are a few points that you need to take care, right? Not everybody is taking care about your privacy and understanding your processes, right? The real gem that you find will know your problems the way you know, right? Handling AI is critical skill, so you need to build up in your organization. Hybrid intelligence, so a mixture of human and AI, is usually, not always, right, yielding better results. And the partnership, the last bit I was talking about, is will help you to accelerate. So with that, I'm done with my bit. Thank you very much. Sorry, I took a couple of minutes longer. Vincent, back to you. And I think we go to Selcuk.
Thanks a lot. Before we move over to Selcuk, there's one question that came in via the chat. I'm reading the question. I would have thought that a possible answer to the poll would be impact on legacy systems or difficult to integrate with legacy systems. Maybe Ara, you go first, and maybe also Selcuk, your opinion, what AI is doing with regards to legacy systems.
So that is right. That's obviously a problem. That's why I said in my part, if you think about the implementation of AI and AI solutions, you have to sort out your data problematic, right? So you have to get your data right. And usually your legacy solutions, especially in the banking world, is the golden source of the information that is potentially required for implementations of things like analytics and or AI supported models on top of it. There is no way around that. And yes, I would probably say that this as a prerequisite is kind of something that crosses over all the 4 questions that we came up in our poll, right? If you don't have that, you're not going to be meaningfully able to make use of AI. But to be honest, most of the organizations I work with are actually working on trying to address and decompose their legacy infrastructure into some sort of microservices infrastructure architecture, right, that helps to get hold of the data in a little bit easier and a faster way through modern APIs, which is normally the interface, the way you talk with a third-party provider, like a SaaS provider.
Yeah, that's actually what we do. So that was a wonderful bridge that you built there. Indeed, we at some point decided that our legacy system is not compatible with AI, and we decided to change it. Not because of AI, but we had other reasons. But the primary reason being that our current legacy system is a set of transactions and tables and not processes, and we need data on our processes to manage them better. So we decided to step by step to develop a new core insurance system, if you like, that really fulfills this and is kind of AI ready. Again, the main rationale was not being ready for AI, but to be able to better manage our processes. And like you said, Ara, it's certainly something that is worth considering. You know, when you think about AI, there are also like options to bridge, let's say, limited capabilities of legacy systems like RPA. A lot of companies employ that. We also have a sizable amount of processes that run through RPA in our current legacy system, while we are building another one from scratch in parallel. So I guess that brings us. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was just going to say, which is a nice segue into your presentation and how actually BVV pension management applies AI in their core processes. No?
Yeah. Hi everybody. My name is Selcuk. Thanks Vincent for having me here, and thanks Ara for the great presentation. You actually touched upon a few points that I will be expand upon, giving you our perspective and how we are approaching the topic. So what I'm gonna try to do today is introduce BVV a bit and give you some context about what we do and as a company, and this will make it clear, let's say, just from our size and balance sheet alone, how our approach to AI is, and then I'll discuss how we go about it and how we implement tech use cases in general and AI in particular. So moving on to the next slide, let me talk a bit about BVV. So we were founded 115 years ago with the purpose of providing additional pension income to German bankers. And the purpose hasn't changed in the last 115 years. So we are an occupational pension provider operating only in Germany. We are an insurance association, and our customers are German banks. So we have around about 750 member companies. These are all banks and financial services firms in Germany. And through them, we insure more than 500,000 people who are employees of these banks, or were at some point in their lives employees of these banks. And we do have a balance sheet that is more than 34 billion euros. And judging by the balance sheet, we're kind of sizable for a pension fund in Germany, but we only have about 300 employees. So and that gives you that already gives you an insight into where our priorities are, right? We have to manage contracts for 500,000 people with 300 employees. So it's all about process efficiency, right? In policy administration. We don't have a large sales network. So anything we do in terms of applying AI goes into either policy admin or investment management, and in both aspects, it is the main aim is basically to increase process efficiency. So this is BVV at a glance. If we go to the next slide, I just wanted to discuss how we approach AI or any tech use case in general, right? And this sounds very, this sounds obvious, but actually it's not, right? So you have to start with a business problem, and I have an example here that we are actually currently considering doing. So we just introduced a new product Germany is kind of new to defined contribution schemes. So, and with our member firms, we have introduced a new product that does defined contribution, effectively the second of its kind in Germany. But it's a new product, so our customer service agents will need training. We could reduce this training cost by utilizing AI, right? And this is the business case that you see here. So we can save half a day per employee in training, right? And the solution would be just build upon an established GenAI model, in our case, provided by hyperscaler cloud provider, and use their models, feed our product information in terms and conditions into it, provide it as an assistant to our customer service agents, and we then assess the feasibility. Okay, what would it cost? How long would we need to launch it? And we decide to do it or not to do it, right? It is important to stress that, you know, this is typical in a sense that, yes, obviously you have a business problem, and then you look for a solution, and hopefully AI is an option, and then you just employ AI, right? But in many instances, you also have like the solution, right? So your management comes to you and says, well, yeah, you know, like like Ara mentioned, the analysts in the earnings call asking about AI, and then your management saying, oh, we have to do something with AI. So let's look for problems. And in my experience at BVV, you know, it always works better if you start with the business problem, right? And if you go top down and look for business problems, the resistance is a bit bigger in the company, in the operational areas, than if you start with, let's say, with a problem that they have and try and convince, let's say, the company, all the stakeholders that AI provides you a solution, right? So this was the general approach. Now let me give you an example which illustrates that a bit better. This is our use case with Cognaize. We had the situation that was 2 years ago, that our facility management employees that scan the incoming letters were approaching their retirement age. And the decision was whether to replace them or not. And the task that they were doing were primarily, let's say, routine and prone to automation, right? So they were scanning the letters. They were then classifying them, assigning a process to each document, and then routing the document to a customer service agent, right? This was all happening manually. So we thought about, okay, this was, by the way, before the launch of ChatGPT. So we said, okay, we can utilize a machine learning model to classify documents and extract data out of these. Then we can integrate this with our then to be launched archive or document management system. And then we can basically classify documents, extract the data out of these, and then do the routing to the agent based on the output from the ML model, right? And you know, going back to what Ara said, right? So this is obviously something that's we don't have much expertise with, right? As a pension provider, we have and also the implementation and the modeling. We quickly decided, okay, we need a partner to do this with, right? We need experts, and this is how we came into dialogue with Cognaize, and at that point it became very clear, you know, they had very capable people who understood sort of our problem, also our business, and then we developed the solution together, right? Maybe it's a good point in time now to set the second question, which is about partnerships, I guess, right?
One sec. So, question 2. All right. Which types of partners are typically supporting your company in implementing AI systems, please? Poll now. Maybe Selcuk, after commenting on the results, we have also 2 questions from the chat. I read out before you continue, if that is okay.
Sure.
So I give it a couple of more seconds. Not much happening so far. Then I'll close the poll and show you the results with first Selcuk and to comment, please. You see the results?
I do.
Perfect. To give us a comment on, is that something that you also see similarly at BVV, or?
Yeah, it's we basically do partnerships with tech platforms, and that's because they are basically, they operate as our cloud providers, right? So it's a relationship that is kind of easy to establish for them and also convenient for us as a customer, right? So the likes of Google and Microsoft. But on the other hand, we also partner with you guys, and we see you as niche player with very specific, let's say, knowledge and expertise in one particular area that a generalist wouldn't be able or willing to offer, if you like, right? So the picture is quite similar to how we think at BVV.
Okay, cool. Maybe one question from me at this point, given your background of many years at McKinsey, I would have expected for B strategy consultants to rate higher, especially McKinsey's engagement with Quantum Black and early even research and solutions being implemented on their end. What do you think about that?
I would too, but I don't have any insights into how they are involved indirectly. So I do know, for example, that the top tier consulting firms are partnering also with tech platform providers, right? And offering like joint solutions. So I don't know like what part of it is captured in this poll, right? And in our case at BVV, it's simply a matter of so we don't, to be frank with you, we don't have large consulting budgets let's say for something like AI, right? In our minds, it's like AI is more like, okay, we have a process optimization objective. We have use cases that are enabled by AI. So we go either to niche players or to tech providers, right? And if we had a top-down agenda, I think we would then go to the likes of McKinsey, which so far we haven't established like in the management, right? And we still think about AI as something, okay, you know, let's think of it as a let's say group of use cases that enable us to be better in our processes, rather than let's have a holistic AI strategy and reshape the company, which is obviously something that many companies are, you know, which is a direction that many companies are currently going into, right?
Cool. Thanks so much for this insight. From the Q&A, the question to share insights on how did you approach shifting the organizational mindset and preparing teams to embrace AI-driven processes, and the challenges you encountered, and finally also how you measured impact on the AI engagements you did.
Let's let me suggest the following. Let's continue with the presentation, because my last slide is about lessons learned, and I think part of what I'm gonna say will answer parts of this question, and then I'll for the other parts I'll try and be specific and give an answer. So this is our high-level process. You know, how we are cooperating with Cognaize now. We have incoming documents. They are scanned. They land in our document management system in the archive. We post through an API daily to Cognaize. Their models do the page classification and data extraction. For example, somebody wrote to us, let's say a pensioner, to tell us that they are still alive, so they want to keep getting their payments. So this document is classified as such, and then the contract number is extracted, so that we can match, let's say, the letter with the customer, and then from that we get back the data from Cognaize, feed it into our document management system. Now from that point, there's a deterministic process classification, so we know based on the document which process it goes into, so that the document management system can assign the process to an agent. So that's how it is today. So there's a question in the Q&A that is, show again the slides with the process where you highlighted the so I guess that's page 4, right? The pre-solution, I don't have an illustration for that, but pre-solution, it was incoming post scanned.
Is it this one?
It's the next one, I think. It's
that one.
It's page 4. Yes, exactly. So I think the pre-Cognaize situation was incoming post scan, that is as today, then saved in the then archive system, but without the process mapping or data extraction, so that we had a parallelly functioning job routing system. Somebody gave the information manually in there, right? Some person classified documents and said, hey, this is somebody wanting to change their let's say bank account data, and manually assigns that through the job routing system to the agent that then has to execute that change. So that was the pre-Cognaize situation.
Moving back to challenges and lessons learned.
Lessons learned and challenges, and I hope this partially answers the question in the Q&A. So first of all, Ara talked about this bit too. Management buy-in is good, but there is also something that is not to be underestimated, that is the resistance in the trenches, let's say. So the operational people who are implementing the let's say AI supported processes, convincing them are essential, right? And this is facilitated if you have those people understand what AI is and what how it helps, right? So a basic understanding of AI, how it works, and what how it helps you is essential, right? To get that buy-in at an operational level. If you are sort of thinking of employing AI in your procedures, then you have to, at some instances, think about process redesign, right? And you have to communicate it well. You have to make that very transparent, right? Integration effort is something that was also, I think, in the poll and was one of the questions. Yes, integration effort is almost always underestimated, and also with legacy systems. Training data for rare business transactions is challenging. So there are documents, obviously, that we get, every few months, and just training a model with that is can be painful. So you have to be patient. And last but not least, regulatory paperwork takes a lot of time, but I don't have to preach to the choir. I think we have a financial services crowd here. They are aware of this. So in the Q&A, there was a culture question, right? And organizational mindset. I would claim that we haven't changed that yet, and it's a process now. You can't change the organizational mindset through a few processes, but it's an ongoing, to me, it's an ongoing communication and an action, right? The management has to communicate, hey, we want to change. We want to be an organization that is at the forefront of AI or using AI, and we have to change our mindsets. Then you have to accompany that with implementing use cases that are visible, that change the life, let's say, the daily lives of your crowd, and then I think the mindset will start changing. So I would claim that, and this is I think our biggest challenge, right? That's why my first bullet point is buying from operating people is better. That's the hardest challenge in our case at BVV, right? A lack of understanding and of AI in general, and how it will help them in their let's say daily business in particular. And then you have obviously worries about if my task gets automated away, what does it mean for my position at the company, etc., etc. Right? These are discussions that you will have at some point as well.
Can I add just one sentence, Selcuk, on that very topic? I think there is there is this component of training and educating your people on capabilities of AI and making sure that the use of it is actively promoted, supported by the strategy of the company. In that context, I always recall the quote of that Dutch professor. I don't remember his name, unfortunately. That is kind of saying that, you know what, it's not the AI that will take your job, but the person using AI. So fears that are associated with the implementation of technology, and especially the fear of people in terms of the safety and security of their jobs, can often be addressed by providing people the ability to upgrade their skill set and become proficient in using AI and become more competitive, more efficient, and hence more kind of secure and safe in terms of their job profiles for the organization.
That's actually a very good point, right? You have to support, let's say, alleviate those worries that your employees might have through a proactive, let's say, program that you can communicate and you can offer a training for them, right? And I do know a lot of firms that obviously you could partner with that offer such training, in the sense that, you know, and it goes from the technology or side of it to how to deal with, like, there's something called a promptathon. So you get challenges and then try to solve them just using AI chatbots, for example, right? And this is I think this sort of lowers the barriers for your employees to get actively involved with AI. So that's a very good point.
Yes, I think that was a nice closing on this one, and I'm very honest to admit I'm very glad we didn't have to use our prepared questions, because we had so much engagement from the audience. Thanks all of you for joining us today. Especially your participation and insights have greatly enriched the discussion. And of course, if you have specific questions or are interested in a personalized demo, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We will be sharing the recording of the session in a couple of days. And we also welcome your feedback, as it helps us create even more valuable experiences in the future, and keep an eye out for upcoming webinars and events. Yeah, we look forward to continuing this conversation and exploring new frontiers in AI together. Thank you once again, Selcuk. Thank you once again, Ara, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you as well. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Take care.